I loved this book. It was so good. So this book is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I had so much fun reading this book. It is set in the Jazz Age, or like the 1920s in Mexico, but I believe they actually travel also to like Baja California, so like southern of the United States to Mexico. So it's about this girl named Cassiopeia, one of those. And she accidentally awakens a Mayan god, and it's kind of their adventure in order to kind of bring him back to the underworld to reclaim his seat of power as like the god of death. He was betrayed by his brother and sent to live, like basically he cut off his head and then put him in a box, and she accidentally awakens him. And it was so good. It was such a cute little love story too. It's very like romantic fantasy, but also like mythology. And it was so much fun to learn about like kind of the different gods and the demons in like Mexican Mayan mythology. So that was really fun to read about. But also I really loved the main character. She was so like fun and spunky, and she talked back, and I loved that for her. Also, the imagery in this book was so beautiful. Like the writing is like kind of simplistic, like it's very easy and like digestible read, but the descriptions were so beautiful. Like a lot of the descriptions of the towns and the scenery and even like the underworld. I want to live here. It was so pretty and like beautiful, and I had a really fun time reading this. I literally like woke up the next day after I had consumed like literally half of it, and I was so excited to like pick it up again and start reading it. So I had a fun time reading this. I would definitely recommend this for someone who like loves mythology or like a little bit of romance and some fantasy. It definitely felt like a palate cleanser from like my books from last week, which were like all classics. So this just felt so refreshing to read, and I think I just like had that perfect moment where I just found like a really good read for that like exact mood I was in. It was so magical and beautiful though. It was definitely a sort of like Cinderella-y kind of vibe where her family really mistreated her, or like her grandpa and her cousin really mistreated her, and they made her like scrub floors, you know, do all the laundry, shine shoes. Like she was basically the scapegoat for everything. Even though she came from this really prominent family, she definitely was always the one who had to do all of the hard work. Her and her mother had to do all of the housework and take care of everyone. So it definitely felt like a Cinderella story-esque kind of like that, where she gets whisked away from like her life and she's taken by this Mayan god on this adventure. So, but like so much better than Cinderella. This was so good. Highly recommend. So I am about to run out the door. I am going just to Cosmoprof to pick up some new shampoo and conditioner because I ran out. So I have like one little errand to go run, but my friends are also going to be in town tonight, which I'm really, really excited about. I haven't seen them since the wedding, which was last year in October when I got married. So I literally haven't seen them since then. So I'm so excited. We're just gonna hang out, just go get some drinks, maybe something to eat, but I'm so excited to see them. But I also have picked up another book. It is The Book Eaters by Sunyi Dean. And I am about 111 pages in. So I've read this much so far. Really, really good though. The tone is definitely way darker. I wouldn't say sinister, but it does have a darker tone than say like Gods of Jade and Shadow. But this has been really interesting to read. It's about this girl who eats books for nourishment, and it's the only way that she can stay alive. But by consuming these stories, she knows all of them too. So by eating them, she consumes all of this literature. And unfortunately, she ends up having a child who has a taste not for books, but for human minds. So it's kind of her battle in order to kind of save her son, and how she has to do kind of some really terrible things in order to keep him alive. But I'm really enjoying this so far. I love the dynamic between her and her son. But also, I love the writing in this. It's a little bit lyrical and kind of gothic-y, sort of. It's definitely reading like a dark fairy tale, but I'm really enjoying it so far. There is also dual timelines. So you start off in present day with this girl, her name is Devin. So you start off in present day, and then it kind of shifts every other chapter. So in the next chapter, it'll be from when she is like a child, and then it'll kind of just progress through her story. I'm assuming until they meet up in the middle, and then it's like present day timeline from here on out. But I have about 200 pages left or so. The text though is so freaking small. Look at this. So the text is so small, like definitely not like any of my other books. You'll read like a chapter and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I like read so much in the book. No, you read like 5 pages. Every single day, there is always like one of those trash collector vehicles every single day here. I live kind of like by an alleyway, and I don't know what it is. There's always recycling people, like trash people, like it's so noisy over here. I am really enjoying this though, and I'm excited to keep reading. It's been very engaging. It's been very thrilling. So I am definitely enjoying this. Oh, and V.E. Schwab definitely said that she devoured this. And also, oh, and there's a little blurb from Shauna McGuire as well. But that's it for now. I am gonna head out and go run my errand, and then I'm gonna come back and get ready to go see my friends. So it's gonna be a good day. Friends, how are you? I got a haircut. I did it myself. I'm actually a licensed hairstylist, and so I'm very familiar with how to cut hair, and I had all the proper tools and everything. I love it. I love a shag. This is usually how I wear my hair, but I just hadn't found a hairstylist out here in LA that I wanted to work with, so. But I love it. But I just finished The Book Eaters by Sunyi Dean, and this was phenomenal. Like, I ate this shit up. It was so good. This world, the culture, it's a fictional culture, obviously, The Book Eaters. This culture was so interesting to learn about, and their politics were fascinating, and how it was very, obviously it's like a patriarchal society where women are a commodity, and just this adventure that her and her son go on was fascinating to read about. And literally the last 45 to 50 pages, I had no idea how this was going to wrap up. I was so confused. I did not know. I mean, I was pacing around. I literally wanted to get up and pace around my living room because I was so anxious. I had no idea how this was gonna wrap up, but it did it so beautifully, and I loved it. Also, the ending was definitely a little bit more vague, and I like that. That was one of my biggest gripes with Addie LaRue, was I really hated the ending of that book. The story was fine and I enjoyed it, but I really disliked the ending and how final they made it. I had actually wished they had stopped it a chapter before and left it on a really vague note, because that's one of my favorite things about books, is when the ending is kind of vague and you can kind of sit back and think about how you thought it should have ended, and you're almost interpreting the ending on your own. And I love that about books. So I love how this ended. There was a little bit of a finale to it, and I liked how it ended, but there is sort of a little bit of a cliffhanger vagueness to the ending. But I think this is a standalone book, so I don't think she's planning on, as far as I'm aware, I don't know if she's planning on making another one, since there is a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end. But man, this was so good. I really enjoyed this. I think I read this in less than 48 hours. It was so good. It definitely did read like a dark fairy tale though, which makes sense because all throughout the book, the chapters will have quotes sometimes from fairy tales. And some of the chapters alone are the exile formerly known as a prince. So you still get that fairy tale vibe, which was just so captivating. I loved it. I was engrossed in this story, and I'm so sad that it's done, but it was so good. I would definitely recommend this to anyone who likes dark fairy tales or even just fairy tales in general. It is a little bit more grim and definitely a lot more skirting on the side of horror. I definitely wouldn't say it's horror though. I don't know if I would actually classify it as horror. I don't know. I'll have to check on Goodreads how this is classified, but this was so good. It was so good. The themes though of motherhood and the lengths that you will go to protect your child were so beautifully wove through this story. It was so good. Chef's kiss. Definitely. I am sad that the book is over, but I really enjoyed it. All right, friends, that pretty much wraps up our week, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.